GM, everyone, and welcome to another episode of FOMO Hour. Today is Tuesday, September 2nd, 2025. Finally, it is September. August is over. September, historically a very red month for crypto. Seems like most people are bracing for that, perhaps positioned for that, but we're here. We're trying to manifest up timber for you all, and we're going to talk about how that happens here on today's show. No Farouk, he's traveling. He'll be back tomorrow, but we got Logan in the house. We got Mando in the house as well. Let me get him up on stage. Gentlemen, GM, how you doing? Mando.
It feels good to be in the top 75 accounts on CT. You know, I think Farouk has crashed out for not being included on the list. There's been an investigation. There's been a complaints department. He's been going after us posting about it in all the chats. But Tyler, I saw you on there, so I just want to congratulate you as a fellow nominee. Were you in the A list or the B list? I think B, right?
I was B list.
It's a little bit harsh to call those A, B, C. Like, you're not a B account, you know what I mean? And like OSF, I think is in the D account, and I'm like, that doesn't really read that well. Just call it the top 10, the top 25, the top 40, 50, whatever you want to call it. But don't A, B, C, D is a bit harsh.
Yeah, just the number rankings would have been a little smoother, but I think he was going perhaps for a little bit of controversy, and he got it. But I think my message this morning is if you're not in the top 75 accounts, don't bother messaging me.
Yeah. Why would you? Who even are you on this app if you're not in the top 75?
Yeah, if you guys don't need me, I'm happy to step aside.
Logan, it's okay. I think you've got potential. I think Farouk as a multi-cycler not making it on the list is it's tough. It's tough. And if you're not on Zach XBT's list and you're not getting paid for your shills, and if you're not on Thread Guy's list and you're not in the top 75, what are you doing as a KOL?
It's time to reevaluate things.
I'm on both.
I saw people were spinning up bots to block everyone on the Zach XBT list. People are taking these lists very seriously.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Farouk, sorry, interviewing Trump wasn't enough.
CZ, not enough.
Trump, CZ.
Pentoshi beat him to it.
Maybe next year. Maybe if you grind hard enough this year, Farouk, you can make it to Thread Guys 2026 top KOL list. Well, we're going to talk about more than Thread Guys KOL list today. We're going to keep peppering in, though, I'm sure. We're going to talk about the market report. Looks like a nice little green swing on today's open after what was a pretty uneventful weekend. We had Trump's World Liberty 5. The token debuted. A bit of a roller coaster start. We'll talk the bull and bear case for that token. Revenue. August, some big protocols hitting some big all-time highs. We'll hit those. Sailor, Tom Lee are buying. SharpLink is buying. And now there's a new Soldat buying 2 million Sol up. We'll hit that. Linea is opening for pre-market trading. Institutions are buying REKT. How about that? Please, did you even say please? Pumping.
No, I'm not having this. I'm not having this, Tyler. All right. That is the most shilling your own bag possible that we're talking about, please. Do you or do you not own some Please?
I bought Please last night, yes.
Unbelievable. And it makes it onto your posts. Trump posted yesterday he's alive, playing golf. And you're still like, it's up. Speculation over his health, guys.
It's true. That is objectively true. Everything I said is part of reality.
How can you look yourself in the mirror as a top 75 account on CT?
How do you think I got there?
Exactly.
But YEET approaching 500 million volume, and then we got to talk a little bit about this prediction markets and sports betting. Kalshi did 150 million volume this weekend, just insane numbers. And now Underdog is throwing their hat in the ring as well. So we've got a lot to talk about. We'll get into it all on today's show. Before we get started, shout out to our partners. First up, Wallet Connect. Wallet Connect is the connectivity network shaping the future of on-chain UX. If you've connected to a Web3 app, you've seen Wallet Connect. That blue logo, it's everywhere. An icon of trust in crypto, as recognizable as Visa at the checkout. If you want to learn more, follow at Wallet Connect on X and Telegram to stay ahead of what's next. And Kraken Pro gives active traders exactly what they need: deep liquidity, full customization, and 350 plus trading pairs. Build your own layout with drag and drop modules and trade seamlessly across desktop or mobile. Go to pro.kraken.com and trade without trade-offs. All right, that is our intro. I don't know. Do we have the intro music today, Charlie? If so, let's get right into the Mando report.
Who is the man, macro daddy of the land? Can you dig it?
GM everyone. So it's been 3 days, I guess, hasn't it? If you had logged off for that 3 days, I think prices would have been roughly the same. Bitcoin's maybe slightly higher. I think ETH is slightly lower, and Solana's maybe slightly higher, I would guess, on those three over that long weekend. Feels like the ETH trade is the one losing some momentum. I think, at least on this show, we have been calling for that. That rotation to Bitcoin, I think is the move for the next month, maybe 2 months here. I think Solana's looking okay still. I still like JLP. JLP still dangerously close to all-time highs. But yeah, I like that trade. The biggest gainers, I would say, Pump Fund back up to around 4 billion. I think just the revenue numbers is getting people interested in that one. You saw a decent move higher in, oh God, there's not really a lot else, is there? I guess Wild Liberty Financial was probably the biggest launch of this period, and that came in at that has come in at 20. It was at 40 billion pre-launch in the pre-market. I do think these pre-market they like to liquidate the shorts, so I think these things will trade higher pre-market and then probably get a bit nasty after that. And we kind of saw that, but it did launch at 30 billion. And then I think me and Tyler have been speaking about it before, and I was like, look, they're only releasing 5% of the supply. I mean, this is buy. Then they released 25% of the supply, and seemingly there were some people were selling that 25% unlocked. I think Justin Sun tweeted out, we're not going to sell our bags anytime soon, but like there was a lot of coins being sent to centralized exchanges, which was not a good look, and it just dumped all the way down to 20, then bounced, but is now it's like holding on above 20. I bought some at 25.5 actually. Was up for about 30 minutes, then was down. Got out at 24, lost some money on that one. I think this is a short. That's my general sense on this coin, actually. Having looked at it, I don't think it's that strong a coin.
Did you see the new governance post? It's just an idea, I believe, but they want to use liquidity fees to buy back and burn.
Yeah, but like, who cares? I guess that's my point. It's just like it's not going to be anywhere close to. I mean, you're going to. If it's a buyback and burn, you're going to try and use that as the valuation. It is vastly overvalued, right? I think the main thing was that this was going to be some form of like coordinated pump. That was the value for this. Mm-hmm. Like they're going to trump this coin, right? They're going to do what they did with Trump, and this is going to go up to 50 and then bleed out. Everyone just sold. There was no coordinated pump. Yeah, if there'd been for only 5% of the market value circulating, I think they could have really pumped it and actually done much better.
Yeah.
But I think this thing is going to go lower. That's my gut here.
Yeah, that was my gut read too. It was a tough call, and I mean, when you were going long, I didn't hate that long call at that point. I mean, it was already down 30% from pre-market. Closer.
More, right?
Yeah.
I put it at 25.5. I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to lose that much money here. And then I thought also the circulating would be locked up at least, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't, and it was just getting dumped. So, and I get the feeling it's going to continue to be dumped. Like you'll see pumps maybe, but I think this one's heading lower. But just my gut. They'll probably see some support at 20 again and bounce around there for a little bit, but there wasn't anything in here that tells me this is going to keep I also think weirdly, like, and this is completely as a hedge for the rest of like your book potentially. If there's one coin that is the hedge for anything going wrong with Trump, it's this coin, right? Think about where this coin goes in that scenario versus like Bitcoin or anything like that. So if you're looking for like, oh, I want to be long everything, but I'm scared that Trump's going to like not be with us or something's going to happen with his health, then this is kind of like, I was just thinking to myself, why would I ever want to be long this coin? It looks overvalued on metrics. And if anything was to happen about a Trump presidency, or they were to lose midterm, or, you know, like anything like that, I feel like it's, I know, it feels very precarious. I much prefer the Trump meme in that scenario. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I know that sounds strange, but like the Trump meme is like, it's going to be more iconic, I think, for a lot longer than this. So yeah, that's just, don't take that as like anything too serious. Like obviously I'm looking like just like tail stuff, but like I was just thinking to myself, I don't know why I could ever bring myself to want to be long this, because I just know it'd just be the scenario of like you could just get eviscerated, and I don't know why it's going higher other than that. So
well, I think part of the challenge, and you laid out, I mean, the bull case is like, this is another Trump trade. It's Trump family protocol. They've got big allies who are going to sink money into this. It's always going to have attention. But when you think about any of the fundamentals, that's where it starts to really fall apart, right? So Aave's 5 billion FTV and World Liberty Fi opened at 40, still at 23. So it's still 4.5x bigger than Aave. And then when you introduce things like the buybacks, maybe first degree thinking is that's good, but then the second degree thinking is, oh shit, now you're going to actually be measured on real metrics and real revenue. And I don't know that we have do we even have insight? Is the protocol even live? Like Logan, honestly, like I don't know about this.
Buybacks is bearish. All right. There's no way that the Trump family is going to make as much as Hyperliquid or Pump Fund, right? They're not making hundreds of millions a month on this. And if they were, they're definitely not using it for buybacks. You'll get like a million here or there, I reckon, if that's going to be the case, right?
Yeah.
They are.
Sorry.
The main bull case here is the stablecoin, but then I think it kind of falls apart after that.
Yeah, that's all I was going to add. Is to my knowledge, there's nothing to do aside from the connection to the USD1 stablecoin, right? But yeah, so what buybacks? I don't mean, how would they even generate anytime soon?
Yeah, I mean, it says it's based off of their liquidity pools for ETH, BSC, or their liquidity positions on Ethereum, BSC, and Solana. But yeah,
so they're buying back a $23 billion token with Uniswap fees.
Yeah.
All right, I've actually got to go. I'm really sorry, but okay. other than that, I think we're going higher, guys. I posted it today. I think I call for an all-time high on ETH by the end of the summer. We got it. Now I'm calling the Bitcoin hit all-time high by the end of October. I think if you make profits in this month, take them, because it will be very volatile. So if you're up a lot one day, take the profits, rotate it into Bitcoin. Keep on doing that. You'll have a great month.
I like it. Well, man, thanks for joining us.
See you guys
this morning. Logie, how do you feel about it? It's been a month since we've talked. Just kind of zooming out, crypto majors. Everyone's seemingly max bearish. I don't know if folks saw this.
The fear 39.
39.
And Mando leaving on that note has me in that Buffett phase, right? The classic be greedy when others are fearful. That kind of seems how Mando's feeling right now. I feel okay. Just broadly speaking, it of course stinks to see the shrink from 125, ETH creeping up on all-time high. But I've been around a while. There's still plenty of stuff going on. Of course, summer winding to an end. Ghost month, right? Like there's lots of reasons perhaps for some caution, but otherwise I feel okay. I'm not too concerned. I keep buying Bitcoin weekly like I have been doing for quite some time, and just hope it goes up in the long term. I'm not sweating the small stuff at this point in time.
I like that. Yeah, I'm still positioned long. I feel like we're already starting to see a shift, and maybe this is just because I'm also like personally impacted by this. Kids are back in school. It's the first day after Labor Day. We shipped them off. We took pictures with my son. It's a half day, full day tomorrow. By next week, the kids will be in their new routine. And what that means is parents are getting back to the desk. Vacations are over. I know the Euros are still in Ibiza, but back in the US, folks are getting back to the desk and back to business. And it feels like the bid is going to start coming. And people are going to catch up on what's been happening this summer. And it's Bitcoin Treasury Co's and DATs. It's ETH Treasury Co's and now Solana Treasury Co's. We'll get into that later on. I feel good in the longs. Have been protecting. I've got a cheeky Bitcoin long. I've been protecting it because I do think it goes higher. It could go lower before. I mean, I've seen calls for like 104K support. Some people think it's going to lose 100. It feels a little less likely now. I've got this market up from MYRIAD. This is actually a really interesting one. Again, Bitcoin to 125K or 105K next. You can get 3x on your money at 125, which at one point it was 94% because Bitcoin hit 124. It hit like 124 and a half. And then like on the no side, like, of course, like this is correctly priced. I mean, it got to 107.5 over this weekend, right? So like the 105K side looked great at that point in time. Yeah. It's interesting again.
Yeah, I saw what Mando's tweet. It said did he say 150 or he just say new all-time high? I can't remember.
Just said new all-time high by October.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sure. Yeah. I like to be on the long side anyway. A little cringy to go short. It just doesn't feel right? Rooting against in some way. It's the same as betting. And we'll talk about this probably a little later, but betting the unders on player props and stuff like that. Of course, they're the sharper side most of the time, but it's no fun rooting for people to miss shots and stuff like that.
Of course. I feel dirty even having the under on game lines.
Yeah.
I like to root for points and tokens to go up in price.
Yeah.
That is me. I've got this other market, ETH up to 5K next or 3,500. It's pretty much square in the middle. The market's leaning heavier towards yes, just because, I mean, again, it hit 49.50. And we're well above that 3,500 barrier still. We never really got within 20% of that. So the yes sides have been feeling a little safer. Perhaps going into this a bit more, we did get news out of both of the main ETH Treasury Co's this morning. Tom Lee and crew now have $9 billion in crypto plus cash, which includes 1.87 million ETH tokens. So just a crazy amount. The velocity, the sustained pace has been very impressive on this.
Yeah. They actually,
go ahead.
Yeah, a lot of this is from so I wrote a piece about this last week, and it's a little not necessarily misleading, but a bulk of that position, of course, is just due to the ETH gain, right? So 8.89 is that 8.98? I think it was 8.88 last week. So not a huge boost, of course, with ETH going back down, but still there. I think it's nobody's really talking about or at least I haven't seen people talking about the alchemy of 5%. They want to have 5% of the ETH supply.
Yeah.
And they're charging towards it like rather quickly, relentlessly. I mean, very sailor-like, right? In terms of how committed they are to this cause of getting 5%. I don't know why. I haven't necessarily seen or heard Tom explain why 5%. I've heard him talk, of course, about network security and things like that. He was talking about that in the very, very beginning, right? As well. I don't exactly know why the 5%. It's not outlined, at least in any of the investor presentations. I haven't listened to some of the new ones, but the presentations, the PowerPoints themselves, it's not indicated exactly why they want 5%. But nevertheless, they're charging for it. It is cool that they have these. Maybe it's not so cool for traders, but both BitMine and SharpLink have these tangible milestone goals that everybody knows about. I do like the transparent. I'm a transparency maxi, so I do like that. Right, SharpLink going for the 1 million ETH as their kind of first milestone. BitMine wants 5% of the supply. It's kind of nice to know.
5% is 5 million.
Oh, geez, I don't even know. It's got to be around there, yeah, because they were at 1.6% or something prior to this, so that tracks.
Total supply is 120 million, so yeah. 6 million.
Mm-hmm.
Am I doing that? Yeah, so 6 million. So where are they at? They're at. They've
almost
got
2 million.
So they're They're 30% of the way there.
Yeah.
If you think they can get there, then that's still a whole lot of buy pressure to come. And I think Google's probably a little outdated here on this market cap number because we know they've been issuing shares, right, to keep hitting this ATM. It's got them at 8 billion, so that would mean their MNAV is at like 90, like 0.9, which is also the new trend for these DATs is they've been trending down to a 1 MNAV. This has got 1.15 on the strategic ETH reserve side, but they're saying it could be outdated. SBET is at 1.02. So if you're buying SBET stock, you are effectively buying ETH. And I kind of like it at 1. So I mean, I was buying it at higher MNAV to be clear. If you think, but this is where they get interesting in theory, right? If you think Joe Lubin or Tom Lee have the ability to generate yield, to use financial engineering tactics to increase their holdings, then buying at 1 is an interesting play. And of course, there's nothing wrong with just buying spot ETH. Of course, like that's still the arguably the better route to go. But from a trading perspective, I think the trade is more interesting at 1x MNAV. And there's people who think they're going to go below 1. And I mean, it's hard to argue with. They've effectively have already gotten there. But if you think this trade is just beginning, I'm betting we're going to see the MNAVs go back up at some point. And they're not just going to go sub 1 forever. I'm curious if you have a read.
Yeah, no, I haven't been tracking that super closely. So I don't really have a strong take there, but I think you're right. As it approaches 1, as we get there, it feels like more or less a coin flip on whether or not you can just buy ETH or buy one of these for the multiple, the gain to be higher in the near future. Stumbling over some words there as I'm trying to characterize that appropriately, but I think it's an okay bet to make as it approaches 1 for sure. I can't remember when we first started buying Sharpling, Tyler. I don't know where it was. Was it just above 1?
I started buying it like 9, and then of course it went on that crazy run.
Right.
And then, so it hit. The MNAV would have been it was probably at 2 or higher than 2 at 36, and then it's been trending back down. And the price action's been rough for sure. Especially like, is ETH green today? Let's see. ETH is down 1%. Which is the other interesting aspect of this trade while we're on this, and we're going to move forward. ETH Bitcoin is trending down a bit on a near-term time frame. Right. So it's been up only effectively since the April bottom. But Bitcoin is rebounding against ETH here. So that's another aspect of this trade. I'm sure we'll continue to monitor it. There is a new entrant to this trade. And let me find this here. But on the Solana side, Sharp's Technology, STSS. They announced their DAT, last week?
Yeah, I think last week. Yeah, with a $400 million pipe. Yeah.
And now they came out swinging. 2 million SOL they've already acquired, which I believe puts them as the number 1 SOL DAT.
Might be close. Upexi has quite a bit. But yeah, it's probably close.
Okay. Yeah, Upexi has more than, I think they've got over 1 billion. So I take that back. Not the number 1, but they've already got $400 million worth of SOL. So that was a huge buy. So I think we're starting to see some of the drivers for this recent Solana rally, right? 400 million in buy pressure out of nowhere will do that. So now looking at SOL is, do you think more of these are coming? And do you think the existing players are going to keep buying more? And I kind of feel it feels still early in the SOL DAT trade. Curious for your read on that.
Yeah, it's interesting because we had some early, right? Upexi and DeFi Development Corp. I mean, I don't know how long they've been around now. It feels like April, maybe. That's like 4 or 5 months since those have been around. But it does feel early. And I think largely, Tyler, it's just as a result of the headline shock, right? Like Tom Lee and Joe Lubin are in our sites every single day. Saylor, of course, in our sites every single day. Solana is just, probably because the underlying token, like the SOL token, has not performed quite as admirably as, Bitcoin or Ethereum. You just haven't thought or, been talking about this quite as regularly. So it does feel early, despite the fact that a handful of notable ones have been around for quite some time. It feels early. And if you do get the surge, it may feel even earlier, if that makes any sense. If you get the Solana surge alongside the creation of some of these new ones, you might be able to see kind of the run back of that, what happened with Bitmine, what happened with SharpLink from like 9 to 36 and, 4x in like a week or 2 weeks as the underlying starts to rise alongside it. So, yeah, I think it feels early.
I've got the handy dashboard from Blockworks. And shout out to Blockworks and crew. This treasury company dashboard, I think it is the best one that I've seen, that I've come across. So Upexi number 1 sold. They've got 2 million sold. So, yeah, I guess what we said was correct. STSS, they're not on the list yet. But when they make the list, they've got 2 million as well. So they are effectively tied at the top. For some reason, I thought Upexi and DF, I thought Upexi had it closer to 1 billion. So we've got 3 players right around that 2 million SOL mark now. So what we want to see, if you're in the SOL trade, is you want to see them battle. The battle to 10 million. Will that be on? So this is a new area to watch. Mando kind of went here. I want to plug you into this combo. The other big story, I think from the weekend, arguably from the past month, I was taking a look at that this morning, is the revenue numbers from August. And this isn't perfect because this is the past 30 days. So this is from August 2nd to September 1st in theory. But Hyperliquid, 102 million. Their all-time high for a month. I think a smashing all-time high. Pump at 47 million. And ENA at 77 million in revenue. And I think what gets more interesting, if you look at the 7-day, the Hyperliquid bulls aren't going to want to see this. ENA, 53 million, 2.5x the revenue of Hyperliquid. And then Hyperliquid and Pump, not that far off. Again, Pump is within 50% of Hyperliquid in revenue. On the week and on the month and on the day, it's even more, right? So my question for you, Logie, let's round this out. I tweeted this morning. Hyperliquid is trading at a $45 billion FDV. And Pump is trading at a 3.8 billion FDV. So Hyperliquid is 12x as expensive as Pump with 2x the revenue. So what's mispriced here? Something's off because we're in revenue meta. Both of these companies, these crypto protocols, are doing buybacks with 100% of the revenue pretty much. And Pump hasn't necessarily outlined that specifically, but they're doing it. Hyperliquid's doing it as well. I just looked at the revenue numbers. It doesn't make sense to me. Something's off.
Well, Hyperliquid's been doing it for a little bit longer. It does feel more established, perhaps a bit more stable, right, in those revenue numbers. I'm not sure we can say the meme coin or the launchpad wars are over, but they feel like they're probably over, right? So Pump.Fund may be settling back into this stabilization of like, what will revenues actually look like? Now that perhaps incentives are lowered elsewhere and it's back to being the top dog. To answer your question, it does feel like Pump is probably a little undervalued. The lone thing that keeps me like, I don't know, away from being completely convicted in saying that is just the reliance upon Solana, right? Whereas Hype can benefit from price going up, from price going down. And I don't mean just on the Hype token. I mean like the trading. Hype benefits from absurd trading. It doesn't matter if it's sharp to the downside or sharp to the upside. Wherever there is trading, wherever there is volatility, Hype really benefits from that in generating those trading fees, which ultimately, of course, adds to Hype buybacks. So the reliance on Pump's reliance on Solana is the only thing that has me like a little leery of suggesting it is 100% the undervalued token here when compared to Hype. Though, just looking at those revenue numbers of late, maybe it's a little bit of like a leading indicator to a certain degree, right? That it has closed that gap compared to Hype, and it has some room to run to the upside in the near term. I think if you were asking me near term, I would rather own Pump. I don't own Pump. I do own Hype, just full disclosure. But I think I would rather own Pump for the very, very near term at this point in time.
Seems like you should rotate.
Yeah. Well, I'm not doing too much like super active trading.
Sure.
One of the nice, easy things is that like I said, in either direction, Hype feels okay, right? Like whatever, the downturns, the consolidations, I'm not too worried about it. The fact that it's established itself as this behemoth, I mean, it's really tough to unwind that type of behavior for users. They're going to be trading on Hyperliquid like forever now, probably, right? So I don't see Hype going anywhere. That's why it's kind of just an easy hold. And I am, Tyler. I'm really bad about buying stuff back. I don't really have the trader mentality of like being able to go in and out of assets very, very quickly. If I sell something, it's hard for me to go back and buy it.
Sure.
So it's easier for me just to hold Hype and then not feel like a dunce when I didn't buy it back and it goes up like 100x or whatever.
Yeah, that's fair. And I'm with you. It is hard to re-enter positions. And this is not me funding Hyperliquid by any means. I think, in fact, I think Pump is undervalued comparatively. I think that's a pretty easy bull case to be made, that we're in this new revenue meta. Again, that's like, it's funny that we're even saying that revenue meta is a new thing, but it kind of is. And they're doing buybacks. They're trading at 1/12 the market cap with 50% of the revenue. And guess what? I don't think the meme coin trade is going anywhere. Like this is in fact, this is the slowest time of the year for the meme coin market. And I think it's going to likely ramp up in Q4. I think it would be premature is probably the wrong word. I don't think the meme coin trade is going to zero.
No, it can't go to zero. It's too much of like a culture news trade. I mean, I think actually the prediction market stuff's probably been good for, not necessarily good for like actual trench meme coin runners, but it's just the proliferation of financializing news and stuff, which is where a lot of the meme coins came from. Just making that an everyday part of life. It's just another outlet. So I think it sort of establish and helps Pump to a degree that we're betting and gambling on literally everything, right? Because people want to have an opportunity to do that. You can do it on the prediction markets now. You can do it with meme coin runners. It's just like a validation of that as a financialized bet, or whatever you want to say, as meme coins and news being a thing and pop culture being a thing. So
there's still no better or easier way to hit like a 10x plus.
There isn't, except for if you try right now, you probably aren't going to do it.
It's hard. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's as hard as it ever is bet. But like compared to other areas, I mean, yeah, you can hit it even like on a levered long, you have to hit it an easy 10x. You have to have perfect timing. You have to be like 20x plus levered. And then you're getting you have massive liquidation risk, which of course in the meme coin, your risk is it just goes to zero. So it's effectively the same.
Yeah, I don't know if you've been talking about it on your Tyler too much about the Powerball stuff recently, right? I mean, it's like up above $1 billion. People in my orbit, normal people in my orbit that don't participate with cryptocurrencies, they get all jacked up about the Powerball being at $1 billion. You know what I mean? And of course, the odds of winning are infinitesimal. They're smaller than winning on a meme coin, of course. But that gamble, that jackpot, that lottery type thing, it's within everybody.
What if you win?
What if you win? Exactly. And that is very much why meme coins are never going away. Right. And they will, the metas will come and go. Like I said, last time I was on here, which was, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, I think we talked a little bit about meme coins, of course. And there still was no clear defined meta at that point in time. In meme coins, that is. Buyback meta, revenue meta was here, I think, still. But that doesn't seem apparent to me. And it might just be that my timeline is much different. US Open's going on. My timeline is very heavy tennis right now. But there's no clear meme coin meta. We might need like some distinct meta to really kick things off, and perhaps chilling temperatures, people going inside and staying inside a little bit longer. Maybe that'll bring it here in the near future.
I agree. For this to come back, we need some kind of spark. We need something new trends, new winners, something, because it's been a little rough. And even these teams kind of buying their own memes hasn't really done anything. I had the meme coin wars chart up. It's been tough. Like I was in the light trade, and I talked about it on this show. I don't think it's over, but I understand, like the Bears who said like it is over. I get it, right? Like they came in, they challenged the king, and now it looks like the king won. And I round trip the whole thing. I'm still holding. I'm gonna give the Heaven team a little bit more time to play this out, but it's hard to argue with Pump's dominance. And they keep facing new challengers. Bonk gave them the most serious run, and Bonk had their month in the sun, and now it's back to Pump, right? So it looks like, I think the more challengers they're able to beat, the stronger they look, right? Because like OpenSea held off a few competitors, and then Blur knocked them out effectively for several years until Blur basically gave up. We still very well may have that Blur moment for memes, but it's hard to see who that would be at this point in time. Well, you were talking about gambling. So let's switch gears and seg to the intersection of sports gambling and prediction markets, because I tweeted about this a bit this weekend. And Logie, I know you're also plugged into the sports scene pretty deeply. I was just casually following these college football markets on Kalshi because one of our friends in our chat, Barry Enslave, who is a very good fantasy golf player, just fantasy sports player in general, kind of put these volumes on my radar. I misinterpreted this. So when I first looked at these, I thought these were individual game numbers. This is the total of all of the college football category betting on Kalshi, but the number is 166 million. And we are 1 week into college football. This was opening weekend. And there were a handful of good games. Like I wouldn't even like TCU. Okay, that's a big game. We had like the Notre Dame Miami game was a big game.
Yeah, Ohio State Texas was
that was
massive.
a big one. And then there was a handful of others, but it wasn't like some insane weekend. It was opening weekend, 4 or 5 marquee matchups. And they did 166 million volume. That is significant. For some perspective, the Super Bowl does 1.3 billion, roughly. That was in 2025. So 10% of the Super Bowl take in opening weekend. I don't know how this compares to the traditional books, FanDuel, DraftKings, all the others in the world. It feels higher to me. Like what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know how it compares. So I couldn't speak on that in particular, but this is not a number to scoff at. And one of the things that we've talked about as it relates to prediction markets is just the liquidity necessary to be able to make bets, right? Is it deep enough to make bets in size and also without, drastically changing odds, those types of things. And it does very much seem like that's the case here, right? Is you can make your bet as a typical normal $5-10 participant, right? If you are a very casual sports bettor, or at the upper end. I don't know. There are no limits here, right? Not to my knowledge, from Kalshi, about how much you can get down. Traditional sports books, of course, could potentially limit sides, right? Or limit sharp action, of course, if you're a sharp bettor as well. So it's going to be a really interesting thing to follow. That's for sure. And I think we've known this a little bit, but like DraftKings, FanDuel, others have to be sitting up a little bit thinking about this for sure.
Yeah, and the other piece I didn't mention, I think, so the volume is big. The prices were better. So I was monitoring the odds. The Kalshi prediction market odds were about 5 to 10% better than the sportsbook odds because they're not taking nearly as high of a fee or a vig. Like they're taking a small percent. I don't have the exact number, but like for instance, like the money line for one of the games I was watching was minus 142, and on Kalshi it was effectively like minus 130. So you were getting 10% better odds, and their bid depth was incredible. It was like 750,000 to $1 million at the number. Yeah. So you were able to bet on like the favorites in basically whatever size you wanted.
Yeah, and that's the stuff that's really going to matter to sharp people. Mm-hmm. When right, like you or I betting $50, $100 on a particular game, it's you probably don't even care about the price really, right? You may when it starts to talk like 50 to 100 points, but if you're talking like 5-10 points, you probably don't care about it too much. You're not necessarily shopping odds for that type of stuff. when you are getting significant sums down, that 10 to 12 points matters a lot. So yeah, I mean, people like pro gamblers, people who are sharp, people who want to find arbitrage opportunities, which of course exist in prediction markets and on books as well. It's just harder to take advantage of. Everybody's got to be sitting up. Like, this is a pretty pivotal moment. There is probably, and and I'm being lazy here, but there's probably a lot of free money on the ground. Quite honestly. And I say that only because, it is it's being shoved in our face so much right now about the prevalence of prediction markets and, and what's out there and available. But if you find it, there's probably, you might be picking up, 5 or 10%. It may be tedious, but it's probably out there, and it's probably more or less free money.
So we got the NFLs. This was college ball. I mean, it's not a crazy stretch to think the NFL is going to do more volume. NFL kicks off this weekend. Thursday game, which is not even an interesting game to bet on because the Eagles are such heavy favorites. But the depth is pretty strong, right? So you can get 168K in at 22 cents on Dallas. It goes up to 350K, 557.20. So there's some decent liquidity on this. Again, why I'm bringing this up, I missed this trend as this is what was going to carry prediction markets post-election, but clearly it is. And I think them getting all of this action on sports is going to enable the other markets, the economic markets, the crypto markets, all of that, just to get bigger as well. So it looks like this is how the prediction markets are going to level up. And what Kalshi benefits from their Robinhood partnership, we're seeing more and more of these partnerships seemingly by the week. Then another big name in sports had a huge announcement this morning. Those who are closer to fantasy and sports gambling will know Underdog. They have now partnered with Crypto.com. They're going to start offering sports events contracts to their customers via the Underdog platform. The other area where this is interesting, Logan, so I think this crept up on me. Like, sports betting / fantasy is outlawed in like 20 states.
Yeah.
In the US. I didn't realize that. It's like in Illinois, it's fine. We cannot bet on college football games in our state. So I can't bet on University of Illinois. I can't bet on Northwestern, but pretty much anything else is fair game. But in 20 states, it's blocked. So this is effectively a way around that, right?
Yeah.
But I guess another kind of factor in this conversation.
Yeah, that's the other really, really big thing here, and that's why you're seeing someone like Underdog or DraftKings, FanDuel, whoever they may be, ultimately look to this as a vehicle because of the previous ruling in which Kalshi got that favorable ruling from a district judge about the fact that, man, I'm going to totally mess up the legalese here, but like basically that it's federally regulated, right? These events contracts are federally regulated, therefore they can offer them anywhere versus the gaming stuff, which is regulated at the state level. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly, but basically, yeah, that would enable Kalshi to offer their sports markets, which are essentially the same exact thing as DraftKings, FanDuel, right? Offering you in every state versus just those 30 states or whatever. So it's a massive, massive unlock to get additional 20 states where people couldn't do it, right? That's a lot of even though the big states have it legal already, right? Like New York, you can do. I mean, those are massive states. Pennsylvania, it's basically the same thing you have, Tyler. Just about everything we can gamble on, with a few exceptions. But these other ones, other states that you couldn't, you now can through these events contracts, through these prediction markets. So massive, yeah.
It is. So this is a new trend to watch. I'm sure we'll be covering it in more depth as the football season really kicks off here in September. But this is a big trend, too big to ignore for those following prediction markets. And I think we're going to see more and more folks get into this broader market. That seems clear. Another game that took off this weekend. Logan, I believe you played it. Pudgy Party. I saw it reached 7th, I think, in the overall Apple iOS store rankings for free games. Out of all free games, it was first in a few categories. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, so full disclosure, I'm not a gamer. I think you know that quite well. Listeners may not. So it's difficult for me to sit down and play a game, but I did download this. I played it, and it's pretty simple and pretty fun. Like it's fine. The couple mini games that I played were race based. Where you're literally taking your penguin. I have the hot dog suit penguin, which I quite like. Racing against, of course, other online competitors. So it's kind of fun. It's not super difficult. Like, again, I don't know games. I don't know how to do them. I stink at them. It sounds very boomerish, but that's just kind of how I am. And I was able to I took first in one of the races, which was quite nice. So I played it, and I actually got to talk to Luca last week. I talked to the CEO.
That's right. Yeah. What'd you take away from that?
Yeah, so I spoke with also John Linden, the CEO at Mythical Games, who of course made this game in collaboration with Pudgy Penguins. I was impressed in my conversation with them. John seems to really understand what's going on here. Of course, Mythical behind NFL Rivals, FIFA Rivals, those have generated tons and tons and probably been the most successful, even though they may not be the most Web3 dominated in terms of user demographic, they're probably the most successful Web3 games, right? In terms of like user numbers. Thanks in part, of course, due to the nature of the collaborations there, the licensing with the NFL, with FIFA. Right. This is different where you're talking about a Web3 native IP and still trying to do the very same thing, which is generate millions and millions of downloads. I asked Luca what success looked like for this particular game. He told me I'm going to miss the quote exactly, but something along the lines of at a minimum, tens of millions of downloads and players. Like, he was adamant about this is what it needs to have to be successful. And they're going to do everything in their power to do that and make it, one of the top, if not the top app in the App Store, respectively, for Google and for Apple. So I was impressed. Of course, Luca has always been very ambitious, very confident in his path towards achieving those ambitious goals. But it seems like they've found something here that people are going to be interested in. You do need to onboard people outside Web3 in order to achieve those goals. I started with my nephews who are 8 and 5 or, around those ages. I handed them the phone. Of course, like I said, I don't know how to do anything, but I gave them the phone. They knew exactly what they were doing. They loved it. They kept winning. I'm tempted just to give them my phone for a period of time to rack up rewards for me. But all accounts, anecdotal, of course, we do have some evidence early, right? The App Store rankings, but by all accounts, this is a potential hit. Quite literally. It's similar to, if folks who haven't played it but have played other games, it's in that party game genre. It's similar to kind of like Fall Guys. I think there's another game called Stumble Guys that you could perhaps put in the same category or like category.
I'm like you. I kind of grew up in the play to earn era of crypto games, and I logged into to click buttons to try to make money, but the games weren't fun. And I think that the reviews are in. This is a fun game. People like it. And I do think it has a real shot to get to millions and millions of users. From a trading perspective, so the ETH NFTs have been selling off. And punks are 46, but that's down 20% from local highs of 55. Bored apes are under 10. Pudgies are right at 10. I kind of like this trade. Like they're getting cheap. I know there's been some lending issues and people on leverage that caused a part of this dip. But if you think Pudgy Party is going to blow up, I do think that trickles back to the NFTs at some point.
Yeah. You like this over Pengu? Because that's always the conversation, right? There's multiple ways to gain exposure here.
Yeah. That's a good question.
Yeah. You know what? It's kind of like the double play, right? You're getting a little bit of the ETH. You're getting a little bit of the ETH trade as well, of course. It's a proxy for Ethereum. I don't know. It's just tough because it's difficult to smack $43,000 on a Pudgy Penguin. It's a little bit easier to buy $5,000 worth of Pengu, like if you're making the trades. So in terms of like a barrier to entry, the activation is a little bit easier. Just buying Pengu. But in terms of like the upside, I think the NFTs upside is higher personally in terms of like the like percentage gain, right? What is this from all time high? I mean, it's like 4 or 5x, maybe, or no, sorry, not 4 or 5x. I can't see where I'm looking at.
Are you talking about Pengu?
Yeah. Sorry, Pengu.
Pengu is about 50% off, 50% off true all time high.
Okay.
Yeah, about 50%.
Okay,
Off
so,
local highs, technically, yeah, because it was at 44 cents back in late July. 29
yeah.
cents.
I don't know.
It's tricky.
It is tricky. It's fun though. I mean, that's part of what makes it fun. But
And they're like reflexive, right? So the token pumps, the NFTs pump too.
Yeah.
So
well, you have the other calculus with the NFTs is the abstract stuff, which we don't know too much about, but is kind of it's a hidden weight that adds to the floor price as is, right? Like it's in there somewhere. There's some premium given to those NFTs because of the abstract stuff. That gets shaken off if and when an abstract TGE comes, but nevertheless, I think I like the NFTs more.
I kind of do too. But looking at this objectively, I think 8.8 billion is the kind of like the magic number for Pingu here. That's about a 3x from here. What's more likely, the Pingu to 3x or the NFTs to 3x? NFTs to 3x would be 30 ETH floor, which is, if you think ETH is around 5K by then, that's 150,000. They've hit 100,000 before. I don't think 150,000 for a bunch of NFT is out of the question by any means.
That seems really tough though. I don't know. When you say it like that, the Pengu stuff does seem like it'd be an easier 3x, but I don't know. What's the order book really look like? I mean, for penguins, is it pretty thin? I don't even really know.
Can I see the depth on OpenSea? Do I have to go to
I don't actually know. Oh yeah, there's a depth tab right actually next to off to the right where the chart is. There's a depth tab. That's not very helpful.
So 80 birds to 11.75. Yeah, it doesn't tell us a whole lot. We'll see. It'll be an interesting, perhaps a fun battle. I think for Pingus to get to 150K, you probably need punks at over 300.
Yeah.
That's my gut read on that. I can't get this chart to load. Well, we got a few minutes left in the show. I'm going around the horn, a couple other topics. There's a new token trading on Hyperliquid, and it's Linea. I don't know if folks saw this morning. It's been a busy morning of news. Linea opened up over 4 cents. It's hanging out at 3.5 cents right now. I have not had a chance to see the FDVs and like the tokenomics on this, so I don't know exactly.
I don't believe there are tokenomics just yet.
Sorry, no tokenomics, but like I don't know what 3.5 cents means in terms of what the projected FDV is. It's not a straight. It is not 3.5 billion based on what I saw folks talking about on X. So I think when it was at 4.4 cents, I think folks were saying it was 3 billion there. Okay. So perhaps a little lower. This is going to be an interesting one. I think I'm going to like the Linea trade. Mando's point on pre-markets opening high and then going low is going to be valid for most tokens. There's not going to be a whole lot of sell pressure on Linea just because of how they're structuring the airdrop. So
like a $3 billion FDV is what? It's like a little below pump.
Only 20% of tokens are going to be circulating, maybe less. So I'll put it less than $1 billion circulating. So that's going to be an interesting one. Another reason why that is interesting, folks, is again, one of my favorite markets on MYRIAD on the Linea side is this something to happen by September 16th for Linea. It's still only at 63%. So we've got 2 full weeks for the Linea token to drop, for any details to come out. An airdrop date announced is enough to resolve this, yes, and you're getting 50%. So the fact that it's trading pre-market on Hyperliquid, I don't think it's going to trade for 2 more full weeks before something happens. So I like the yes side, but disclosure, I'm on the yes side. Yeah,
I really like that on the MYRIAD board on Linea. I like that Vitalik market. Vitalik to mention Linea. He is, of course, Vitalik, very, very well-spoken, very, very measured with the words he uses, I believe. He has a lot of power. He knows that as well. I liked this one long ago, closer to 50%, because he has mentioned other layer 2 networks in the past. And Linea is doing something that Vitalik very specifically called out early this year when we were talking about the parasitic nature of L2s, right? That was a big kind of sentiment battle about L2s being good, but I mean, it's still a battle. It's still a talk, but Ethereum continuing on with the layer 2 roadmap. And Vitalik sort of suggested that these layer 2 networks needed to really think about the economics of ETH. And one of the things that Linea was very transparent about was the fact that they're going to be focused on the economics of ETH and be the most aligned Ethereum layer 2 network. So he has yet to mention it. I think these odds are probably fair about whether or not he would mention it, but I still like the potential upside here in hedging. I cannot use the market, so I've not made a wager on this. It's still one that's interesting to me. And I think, this is just in 2025, right? And we expect that there's going to be more information coming from Linea. There's going to be reasons for Vitalik to think about Linea and potentially comment on it in the near future.
Yeah, I like that. Nice little bookcase. So if you're looking for some interesting markets over on the Linea side, I think there's a couple to take a look at. Producer Charlie has let me know. I do need to clarify that something to happen market is on September 16th. So that does muddy the waters a little bit. So it's not just up until.
That's a good clarification.
On that day. So yeah, maybe 63% is still right for this. But we'll continue to track these. Folks, I think that takes us through the list. Logan, is there anything else jumping out to you?
You might go into that sports one. Is the U.S. Open one on there? Well, I'm thinking about tennis here. No, it's not. Okay. This must be on the abstract one. I was just looking at the draw again this morning. Sinner last night was disgusting. His draw is so easy, up to 56%. That makes sense. He's going to walk. He's going to walk to the finals. So, yeah. Anyway.
Just need Sinner to stay healthy, and then you're going to get him at.
This number is right. I don't know what that is in terms of the American odds. You can do it pretty quickly, but it's got to be around 150, I think, minus 150 or something like that. That makes sense. That's what he would be to Alcaraz probably on these hard courts, and then anybody else, he's going to be an even bigger favorite. So. Anyway, just thinking about it while we're on the show.
We've got tennis expert Logan on with us, so some more alpha here this morning. All right, folks. Well, I think that is going to be it for today's show. Thank you for joining us. Farouk back tomorrow. We'll have Mando back in the house as well. I want to thank all of our listeners. I want to thank our partners. I want to thank Logan for jumping in with us here today. We will see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. Until then, go make it a beautiful day.